All right, so sometimes graphing, graphing is great to find a solution to a system. If it's not in y equals, you got to change all of them. That can be very tedious. So another method we're going to talk about today is the substitution method. So remember, substitution means we're replacing. So that's where we're going to be focused, okay? There are some steps for this. We'll follow those steps, and it should not be a problem. First step is always to solve one of the equations. For y equals, I also want you to write on the end, or x equals. Doesn't have to, I know we're very used to y equals. It doesn't always have to be y equals. When we do substitution, it can be x equals also. After we've figured out a y equals or an x equals, we're going to substitute that whole expression that equals y or x into our second equation. So this is going to not make a ton of sense. We're just going to write it out, and then we'll actually apply it, and it will make sense. Then we're going to solve that equation for x or y. Then we're going to take what we get, and we're going to substitute it back in for x or y, whichever we have, to find our other value. And we can check by graphing or by plugging our numbers into our calculator, okay? All right, let's look at number 2. So again, remember, we're in the focus of substituting. So it tells us in this second equation that y equals 2x minus 1. So what we're going to do is, in this first equation where we see y, we are going to substitute or replace the y with 2x minus 1. Because if 2x minus 1 is equal to y, then I can replace whatever I see y with the 2x minus 1 because they are equal to each other. So we're going to take these two equations and we're going to write them as one. So we're going to write 5x plus, now I'm not going to put my y here. In place of y, I'm going to put 2x minus 1, because that was my y, equals 34. So now we've taken two equations. We can put them together. We have one equation. So we're going to just use our steps from Unit 1. We're going to collect like terms. We're going to undo our add subtract. We're going to undo our multiply divide. X equals 5. Now, remember, that's only one part of our solution because our solution is an x, y coordinate. Okay, so now that we know what x is, if you look back up at your steps, okay, we've already done step 1, step 2, and step 3. So step 4 says substitute that value into one of the original equations and solve for the other letter. So I would prefer to pick the y equals because it's already, then I only have to solve one side. It doesn't actually matter which equation you put it into. So I'm going to choose this y equals, and I have 2 times my x is 5 minus 1, 10 minus 1, y is 9. Okay, let's try another one. All right, so these are not so easy to change to y equals. So again, we're going to want to substitute. So we have a y equals right here. Sometimes it's y equals, sometimes it's x equals. And we're going to replace the y. Now, I do want you to notice that this is technically 3 times y. So when we replace it, we have negative x plus 3 times, and now we're going to put this 6x minus 2, which is our y, here. So we're only replacing the y, not the 3y, equals 28. Now we can go ahead. We're still doing our steps from Unit 1. right? We're going to distribute. Make sure you're careful with your signs. We're going to collect like terms. We're going to undo the add subtract, which is 34, and undo the multiply divide. And we get one of our variables. We still need to find the y, so we can choose either of these original equations. I usually choose whichever one is x or y equals. It's just a nicer, less steps. Less steps means less mistakes. So now I have my x. My x is 2, so in place of x, I'm going to put my 2. Just like when we used to solve equations, we would plug our answer in to check it. So I get 12 minus 2, y equals 10.
Wait, this is how to check it?
No, this is to get the second piece. All right, when we look at number 6, I chose this one because this one, you'll notice, is an x equals now. I wanted you to see it doesn't always have to be a y equals. So we're going to plug this in for x. Now remember, there's a number in front of it. So this is saying negative 2 times, and then we're going to put, in place of x, we have 5 over 2y minus 3. Don't forget to write the rest of the equation, plus 5y equals 22. So we've taken two equations and made them one. We're going to distribute. We get negative 5. You could use your calculator on that if you wanted. Negative 5, don't forget the y. Negative times a negative is a positive 6. Plus 5y equals 22. So now we can collect like terms. We can put our y's together. But if we have a negative 5y and a positive 5y, they cancel. So we got 0 y's. And then I end up with 6 equals 22. Does that make sense? No. Does 6 ever equal 22? No. So guess what the answer to this is? No solution, because it doesn't make sense. 6 will never equal 22. So if you end up with two numbers that do not equal each other, it's going to be no solution. Okay? There are no numbers we can put for x and y in both equations that would make it true. So Fish and Fin sells clownfish and angelfish. Clownfish cost $1.50 each. Angelfish are $2. At the end of the day, Fish and Fin sold a total of 156 fish and made $260. So they've already set up the equations for you. A little later on, we will practice from word problems, writing the systems, but that's not our goal today. So we're going to just focus on the fact that they've written it for us. That was very nice. So it tells us x is clownfish and y is angelfish. So notice neither one of these are in x or y equals. So we need to change one. Guys, when you want to change to x or y equals, look for one that would be easy, simple steps. This first one's going to have less steps. So do you want it to be x equals or y equals is what you need to decide. Y equals, okay, because that's what we're used to. So we would need to minus this x. So now I have y equals 156 minus x. So again, so now this is y equals, we're going to put it here. Remember, this is 2 times y. So if it's not already x or y equals, you're going to need to change one. We haven't had anything like that yet. So when I plug this into the second equation, it's okay that there's decimals because you have a calculator. Don't stress out. Plus 2, but then my y is 156 minus x equals 260. Okay? So once you've set that up, now we can do the same steps we did before. So we're going to have to distribute 2 times 156 was at 312 minus 2x equals 260. And then we're going to do our collecting like terms and such. So 1.5 minus 2 is a negative 0.5. You can leave it a decimal. And I'm going to have to minus this 312. So I get a negative, what is that, negative 52. And then we're going to divide by a negative 0.5. Use your calculator. You should end up getting 104. Now, remember, go back to your word problem to see. That was X, and X was clownfish. So now we have 104 clownfish. Because when we have a word problem, we have a context for it. And then it said, our original said, X plus Y equals 156. So we can put our 104 here. And then we just have to subtract it. So Y, which is our angelfish, is 52. Angelfish. So that's what it would look like in the context with a word problem. Okay?